Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Casey and it's been a while since I've posted any sewing projects here on the sewing channel. But this week I want to get back in the sewing room, and I actually have been making more time for sewing lately. I've just been doing it off camera because a couple of months ago I was getting really frustrated because I was missing sewing so much. And I had some ideas for things I wanted to sew, but I felt very overwhelmed about actually trying to film it. So I decided to take the pressure off of filming and just get in here and sew some things. So I have been sewing a little bit. And just in general, as a multi-passionate creative person, I have a lot of projects that are pulling me in different directions, all things that I want to work on. Totally self-imposed punishment when it comes to creative project overload. But I've been trying to do some little kind of scheduling and mindset shifts to help me work those things into my routine. And as usual, I have no shortage of projects on the brain. So about a year ago, I started noticing all of these breakaway vests popping up on my Pinterest feed and sites like Renovation. I really loved them, but I didn't have time to get to them at that point. This season, I have seen them everywhere. Like, everybody's selling the breakaway vest, and I've tried on a few in stores, and either they didn't fit right, or they weren't the right size, or they didn't have my size in stock. And when it comes to more tailored garments like a vest, it really is nice to be able to sew because it's hard to find those things that fit really well in stores. Now, in the spirit of using my time efficiently, I'm going to be doing a pattern hack of one of my patterns, the Vivi blouse and dress pattern. I know this pattern fits because I made it, first of all, and also I've already sewn several samples of it, and I'm just gonna have to make a few simple modifications to turn it into this style of vest. The nice thing about this pattern is that it can actually be used sort of like a sloper. It's a very basic bodice and skirt construction. The only major design change that I'm going to be making is making it without a collar. So it comes with a collar and it has a fold over lapel, but with the lapel unfolded, it will just be a crew neck. I will have to modify the neck just a little bit. I'll probably make it a little bit wider all the way around. That's going to be a pretty easy modification with some on-the-fly fitting that I can do after I sew the shell of this pattern. So the first thing that I want to do is sew the shell. I'm going to try that on, see if I need to make any fit adjustments before I do the lining. And I've already got all of my pieces cut out here. I've got a shell and a lining for both the front and the back bodice. In addition to making time for all of the creative endeavors that feed my soul, I also make my overall health and well-being a top priority, especially as a woman in her 40s, an aging woman. This is really important to me, and that includes moving my body regularly, eating mostly healthy foods, and giving my body what it needs to feel my best. I've recently added 2 new products to my daily supplement routine from Ritual that are helping me take care of myself from the inside out. First is Synbiotic Plus, Ritual's 3-in-1 gut support capsule. It combines prebiotics to feed the good bacteria, 2 of the world's most clinically studied strains of probiotics, and postbiotics to support my gut barrier function. Plus, the delayed release capsule helps it reach my colon, which is where probiotics can really do their job best. And Synbiotic Plus has been one of those simple habits that makes me feel like I'm taking charge of my well-being. I've noticed I'm less bloated and more regular. Maybe that's TMI. I don't care, it's true. The other Ritual product I've been loving is Hyacera, their once daily skin supplement that takes skincare to a deeper level by working from the inside out. It's clinically proven to reduce wrinkles and fine lines and improve skin smoothness. As I get older, preserving the health of my skin is also a top priority. And I really appreciate that Hyacera is made traceable, so I know exactly where each ingredient comes from and the science behind it. Not all skincare ingredients are created equal, and Ritual does a really good job of being very transparent about theirs. And right now is the perfect time to try it. Ritual's Mother's Day sale is going on right now, and you can save 40% off your purchase with the code PatternScout40 at checkout. So just go to ritual.com/PatternScout40, enter PatternScout40 at checkout to save 40% off. I've also put the link down in the description. That means that Synbiotic Plus is only $32.40 compared to the normal price of $54. A big thank you to Ritual for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Okay, let's get back to sewing. To modify this pattern, all I did was attach the skirt to the bodice for both the front and the back bodice. So I did that here. Now, for the back bodice, this was pretty straightforward. I just attached them at the waist and accounted for my seam allowance. Because there's no darts here, the shaping is all in the side seam and the center back seam. So that piece is good to go. For the front bodice, I did have to make a few adjustments. So the skirt piece of this pattern on the front skirt does not include a dart. So I had to add the dart back in to match up with the dart of the bodice. To do this, I just did a slash and spread, kind of close to where this dart is, and matched up where I thought the side seam was going to be. And I ended up retracing this and truing the dart, truing the side seam to match up with the back bodice, and that piece is right here. So now you can see I've got kind of a fisheye dart here. Everything else is pretty much the same as the original pattern. I also created a little breakaway here at the center front. This is going to be a button placket here. So all I did was measure down about 2 inches below the waistline and pull this back about 1.5 inches at the hem, tapered it back up to that point. So that's really it.
Through the corner of my window, playing catch. I wonder, do they get tired? Good company, purring on my lap. Not a single worry to be had. Sunny side up, the only thing that's filling my brain. For now it's sunny side up. The reason that I get out of bed is to lay down again. Oh, I'll be with you in a sec. I just need a day off. Nothing in my plans. I just need a day off. Feet on the table. If I were just to move, and then she could be fatal. Now I don't know what to do. Thought of coffees hanging over me like a thread. Sunny side up, the only thing that's filling my brain. Be with you in a sec. I just need a day off.
Okay, so I have the shell sewn here, and I've just gone ahead and folded out the seam allowance for the center front. The original pattern has a facing for the neckline, the armholes, and the center front placket. So I'm not going to be doing a facing since I'm doing a lining throughout. So when I sew the lining, I will just kind of sew, you know, the edge of this to the lining. And then I'm probably going to interface the center front here for the button placket, just to kind of give it a little bit of extra stability. And I might interface both the shell and the lining at this part because this is a pretty thin fabric and my interfacing is actually pretty lightweight. So I don't think it's gonna like be a really stiff interfacing for that. And I like the position of the breakaway here. I made a vest with this pattern back when I first made the pattern, and I actually kind of put that little breakaway a little bit too high, and so sometimes with certain pants it kind of shows a little bit, shows my belly a little bit, which I don't like. So I did bring this one down just a little bit lower, and I think that's going to work out pretty good. The arms, this will be, the seam allowance obviously is still on here, so these will be kind of back about to here, which I think will be perfectly comfortable. And then for the neckline, instead of sewing a 5/8 inch seam allowance, I think I'm just going to do 1 inch so that it comes out just a little bit further away from the neck. I think that should be plenty. Oh, another thing too, I like the fit of this, but I think I'm going to put a tie at the waist so that I can kind of cinch the back a little bit and make this fit a little bit closer at the waist without having to pull in the side seam too much. I just really like the idea of having that tie back there, and I can kind of adjust the fit so that if I'm having a day where I'm feeling a little bit bloated, it's not going to be too tight. So I'm going to do the same thing, sew the lining, and then I will put these two pieces together. I also added some interfacing around the neckline just to add a little extra stability there, and I only did this on the shell side of the garment. I also released the side seams so that I could sew the two pieces right sides together, so the shell is right side up. I put the lining right side down, right side's facing, and then I'm going to sew all the way around the placket and the neckline and down the other placket, and also sew around the armholes. Then I'll just grade the seam allowances before turning everything right side out and understitching that seam allowance to the lining side. Now that I've got the lining sewn to the shell and I've done my understitching and pressed everything nice and flat, I'm going to sew the side seams. So I'm going to match up the lining side seams and the shell side seams and sew those. And I also want to make sure that I insert my little ties here at the waist for the exterior side. So I'm just matching up the underarm seam first. So I've got front and back lining together, and then I'll have front and back shell together, and then I can flip that right side out. It'll be nicely finished. I created these little ties, just some like little skinny ties, and I'm going to insert that into the side seam of the exterior shell pieces, and I'm doing it right where it kind of comes in at the waist here. So I'll just put that there, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. You are just, what? You don't like it when I'm in here working, do you? You want me to just be hanging out with you? Come on. Oh, okay. Going to open this up and press the seam allowance in opposite directions here just so it lays a little flatter. So I'm going to clip into the seam allowance right at the side seam under the arm. I'll just press one to the back and one to the front. See there, I've got those pressed in opposite directions. And I'll also tack the side seams together, probably right here by the tie, just to kind of make sure that that stays in place along the side seam. Got the basic construction done. I'm pretty happy with this. I do need to press it. It's a little wrinkly because I've been working on it. I also need to hem it. So I think I'm actually going to bring up the hem about an inch there. So I'll hem that all the way around. I just think that looks a little bit better with my proportions. So I'm gonna bring that up, and yeah, and then you can see, got that little tie back there to kind of cinch the waist a little bit. This is looking really cute. And then I gotta add buttons and buttonholes. So I'll probably do kind of like a larger button for this, maybe like a 3/4 inch button, I think. I think that would look really nice. I gotta figure out which button I wanna use. I need to look through my button stash. But yeah, the fit is great on this too. I'm really happy with the fit. And doing that inch seam allowance around the neckline really worked out well for this. I feel like the neck opening is perfect. So, yay! the vest is finished. I was kind of debating on whether or not I wanted to do some top stitching around the placket here and around the neckline and the armholes, and I decided not to because a lot of the inspiration images I saw didn't have any extra top stitching. It was just kind of a cleaner finish. So I'm gonna try it like this and see how I like it. If I feel like things are kind of getting a little bit wonky and kind of out of shape, I might go back in and top stitch, especially around the placket, just to kind of keep it a little bit more crisp. But so far, it seems like it's going to be okay. This vest is giving me such 90s vibes right now, which is one of the eras of fashion that I love the most because the styles were very classic, very crisp. It was a lot of kind of neutrals and basics, and I loved that era of fashion. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I grew up in that era and I was kind of coming of age in the 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s. So I love stuff like this. It's like full on nostalgia for me. Now, I also think this would be great for a dress hack to do a very simple silhouette like this, like a kind of shift shell type dress. And I have seen a lot of those out and about as well, like ready to wear versions of that as well, which I think is very cute. And especially in like a white or a kind of natural beige linen with some cute sandals is such a great summer staple. So yeah, I am actually thinking about making myself a dress that looks very similar. Having this little breakaway on the front of such a long vest, I think is really nice because it still kind of helps draw attention to the waist and kind of makes the waist feel a little bit more cinched in. Because something like this that's a little bit more of a tunic style can kind of make things feel a little bit more straight up and down. And I think also having the tie in the back helps too. I might go back in and make this just a little bit tighter. I mean, linen does stretch out a little bit. It also wrinkles a little bit, which doesn't bother me. But over time, like whenever I wash one of my linen garments and I first put it on, it feels like it's shrunk up like 2 sizes. But after wearing it for about 20 or 30 minutes, it really loosens up and the heat from my body kind of lets the wrinkles relax and lets the fabric relax a little bit. And it really does become so comfortable and flowy and soft over time. So I know that this top is going to be the same. It's going to get a little bit more worn in, much like my other linen tops that I love. I've made a lot of white linen tops. I just feel like they're so classic and they're so easy to wear with everything. And for the buttons on this, I just went with a simple tortoiseshell style button. These are just little plastic buttons I picked up I think I got these at Walmart. I've used this particular type of button, this brand and this type, on so many garments because I just think a little tortoiseshell button looks great on just about anything. So I went with the tortoiseshell button, and this is a 3/4 inch button as well. The vest that I was wearing at the beginning of this video is also another pattern that I sell. I kind of contemplated doing this project with that pattern, but I did want something that was a little more crew neck, and that vest pattern doesn't have like a skirt, although I could just take my, Vivi blouse and dress skirt and put it on that vest pattern to kind of lengthen it and give me a starting point for how big to make it around the hips, because those are both based off of the same block, like the same pattern block. I want to also give a shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and the work that I do over on Patreon. If you're interested in joining us over there, occasionally I will post bonus videos on the Patreon. If you're interested in checking that out, I'll put a link to that down below this video. I also want to give another big thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video. If you check the link in the description, you can get 40% off of your order with the code PatternScout40 at checkout, so be sure to check that out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot. And you can hit that little bell icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.